So we just basically cut the brain in half, and then so first of all, the duometer is this white thing that's covering the spinal cord, and then the brain. So it's basically the tough outermost membrane enveloping the brain and spinal cord, and it also covers and protects the brain itself, and it encloses and protects the vessels that supply the brain. And then the cerebrum, well, the brain is supposed to have like the left hemisphere and then the right hemisphere, and then the cerebrum is the largest part of the brain, composed of right and left hemisphere. So like the whole thing is called cerebrum, and then it performs higher functions like interpreting touch, vision, and hearing, as well as speech, reasoning, emotions, hearing, and other kinds of stuff related to the control of the movement. And also the medical longitudinal feature, that thing is like, so if the brain is like in here, like the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere, then it's like a deep groove that separates the cerebral hemispheres. So you know, like the brain is like in the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere, and then there's just like a small hole, or the thing that separates the left and right side. So it contains the primary motor cortex and is involved in complex learning. Also, the sulcus, which is basically that makes up the folded surface of the cerebral cortex, and also surrounds the gyrus. So it's basically like, so there's a sulcus. So this part is sulcus. I mean, this part is gyrus, and then if there's a right hemisphere of the brain, then there should be a sulcus, which is like in the middle of these two gyrus. So it's basically the grooves that appear on the wrinkled surface of the brain. And then, like I said, the gyrus is those parts, the outermost part, and then they are the folding or bumps in the brain, like, so like there's bumps, like wrinkled things on the surface of the brain, and then it's like basically the folding of the cerebral cortex that creates gyrus, and then increases the brain's surface area and cognitive ability. While the transverse cerebral fissure is like the like this outer part where it's not in like straight line, but like it's like these parts, but the longitudinal, the medial longitudinal feature is like this part where it separates the left hemisphere and right hemisphere. It's like the, what you call it, longitude, like basically. And the cerebellum receives information from the sensory systems and the spinal cord and other parts of the brain, and then regulates motor movements. So the cerebellum coordinates voluntary movements such as posture, balance, coordination, and speech. So cerebellum is basically located, so if this should be the front, and then this should be the back. So it's like basically located in here, like this brown thing, the thing that among all these parts. So it's that. And then the corpus cerebrum integrates motor, sensory, and cognitive performances between the cerebral cortex on one side of the brain to the same place on the other side. So, and also there's a corpus cerebrum right in this middle side. It's like a half hemisphere, but it's like, it's not like a round circular, but it's like a half of the circle. It's like this part. And then corpus cerium integrates motor, sensory, and cognitive performances between the cerebral cortex on the other side of the brain to the same place on the other side. So this part integrates this part and this part, the left and right hemisphere. So the fornix is basically the C-shaped bundle of nerve fibers in the brain that acts as the major output tract of the hippocampus, and I'll explain what hippocampus is later. So the fornix is basically like the C-shaped thing, this thing, if you can see closer, this part, and then this part mainly, like I said, acts as the major output tract of the hippocampus. And the hippocampus is a small curved formation in the brain that plays an important role in the memory system, which is also called as limbic system. And so for septum pellucidum, just like this triangular thing inside the brain, as you can see here. It's like this thing here, and then it's a thin triangular vertical double membrane separating the anterior horns of the left and right lateral ventricles of the brain. So this divides the horn of that, and then this part. Also, I will talk about the thalamus, which is a small structure within the brain, located just above the brain stem, between the cerebral cortex and then the midbrain, and has extensive nerve connections to both. So it's like right beside the septum pellucidum. So if this is a pellucidum, this is thalamus, I want to call it. This white thing here, and then this triangular thing is the thing that I did before. And also the hypothalamus is a small region of the brain that's located at the base of the brain near the pituitary gland. So it's really small, and then it's like the one that I told you before that looked like a C shape. It's like here. It's like here and here. So this part, while it's very small, the hypothalamus plays a crucial role in many important functions, including releasing hormones, regulating body temperature. And now I will talk about the pituitary gland. This is a part of the endocrine system, and then it's like really small, like a ball-shaped thing inside the brain. So it's like located right in here. It's like stuck in the cerebrum. And its main function is to secrete hormones into your bloodstream. And then these hormones can affect other organs and glands, especially your thyroid. And now I will talk about the midbrain, pons, and medulla. So midbrain, so if you see this is a medulla, and then it's separated into three regions, and then the most upper part here, this part is called the midbrain. And then the middle part is called the pons, and then the bottom part and the long thing that connects all the organs and stuff into the body is called medulla. So the midbrain is the region of developing vertebrate brain that is composed of the tectum and tegmentum. And the midbrain serves important functions in motor movement, particularly movements of the eye, and in auditory and visual processing. And for medulla, it's a long stem-like structure, like I said before, that's located in the brainstem, and it's an anterior and partially inferior to the cerebellum. It is a cone-shaped neural mass responsible for autonomic functions like sneezing and vomiting and those kind of stuffs. And then pons, the middle part, is the portion of the hindbrain that connects the cerebral cortex with the medulla oblongata. And it also serves as the communications and coordination center between the two hemispheres of the brain. So if the whole hemisphere, two hemispheres, right and left side. And now I'll talk about the spinal cord. Spinal cord, as you guys know, is like this thing that sticks out from the brain. So if you look in this way, so it kind of sticks out in there, and then it's supposed to be long, but it's cut. And it's basically a long, thin, tubular structure made of nervous tissue, which extends from the medulla oblongata in the brainstem to the lumbar region of the vertebral column. It just encloses the central canal of the spinal cord, which contains the cerebral biospinal fluid. And I will talk about the optic chiasm or chiasm, I don't know how to pronounce it. And it's basically an X-shaped structure formed by the crossing of the optic nerves in the brain. And then it connects the brain to the eyeball, which allows us to do the vision. And then I really can't find it here, but this part is the front of the brain, and then so it connects the eye. And then it's supposed to be like X-shaped, which should be connected to the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere. And I will talk about the optic nerve. So the optic nerve is located in the back of the eye, which is the main connection between the brain and the eye. So it should be like this long thing that connects to the eyeball, which allows us to the vision. And then the job of optic nerve is to transfer visual information from the retina to the vision centers of the brain through electrical impulses. And then finally I will talk about the olfactory bulb. An olfactory bulb is a neural structure of the vertebrate forebrain involved in olfaction, it's like a fancy name for like sense of smell. And olfaction. So like you see, it's like this part in the front of the brain. It's like the part in the front of the brain, and it's in the base. And then it connects the sensory thing that you can smell, and you can have a scent and a smell to the nose.